Hello, my name is Adam, and this video is just about telling you about my two language teaching principles that are geared towards student success. The first is about setting goals, quite an obvious element. The second one is about the inner dialogue, the doubts that you have and while you're speaking. And I'll tell you a little bit about the solution I have for that, which is can surprise a lot of people. So the first thing is about goals. So imagine you want to learn an instrument, you want to become a great writer, you want to become a great chef, or you want to be fluent in English. And then someone tells you, well, just do the hours, do the 10,000 hours, copy the best people, and that's the solution. This is true, but it's as useless as it is true. Because what do you do with that information? You don't know what to do. So maybe at the beginning of this hobby or this goal, you go on a course or you go on a book, and everything's pretty structured for you. Fantastic. But at a certain point, you realize that you need personalized help. But more important than that, you need personalized goals. You need to keep the motivation going, because the difference between you succeeding in these objectives and you failing is simply about the motivation and the idea of keep going. And really, to do that, you just need to set a goal that's just ahead of what you are. The goal should be what we call SMART, which is specific, measurable, something that you can actually achieve, achievable, relevant to you, so it's personalized to you, and timed, not just something in the air. Sometime I'm going to achieve that. So the goals could be quite small, but given your resources, you can achieve them. If you can achieve them, you will keep going, and that's going to be the key to your success in achieving your objective as being more fluent in English. The second key principle I have for student success is about the inner dialogue. The inner dialogue is you telling yourself, filtering what you're going to say, or judging what you've just said. Oh, what was that wrong? Was that right? I think there's a better word for that. Do they understand me? Are they following me? Oh, do I make sense? So this inner dialogue can actually destroy the real dialogue that's happening around you. To illustrate this, what's happening, I want to tell you about a swan. So a swan is like a big duck. It's on the water, but it's a big white bird with a very long neck, a yellow beak, very big bird. And you see the swan on the water, and you see the swan maybe even going upstream. And it's like magic. It's going floating on the top of the water, going. But underneath, the swan's legs are going crazy, pushing, 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 fighting the water. So what's the point of this story? This is to illustrate what you're experiencing when you're talking, which is the legs going crazy and your brain whizzing around, and what the listener experiences, which is the floating, the magic, sometimes struggling, but going forward on top of the water, like magic. So how do we combat this? How do we stop your brain going crazy? So my solution is actually a bit counterintuitive. It's to give you feedback on your errors. So great, you get the errors. I give, while you're talking, I write down your grammar errors, your vocabulary errors, I write down your pronunciation errors. And then after a class, I will send that to you. I make a recording as well of your pronunciation errors. And then you send back to me your recording. You send back to me your ideas about the errors. Great. But how does that help the inner dialogue? Isn't that a problem? Actually, no, because you realize while you're talking to me and while I listen really, really carefully to the language, we start to realize how much of that language that you are creating is good language. You can start to trust yourself that, wow, I said all that. I spoke for 10, 15 minutes, and these are the errors. These are the things. I know about them. This is it. It's about calming down the dialogue, Begin to trust yourself. And to do that, it's by someone listening very, very carefully while you're speaking and writing down the errors, letting you know, yes, this was wrong. We can work on this. But the rest is fantastic. And that's how we try to get that success for the students. Okay. See you soon. Thanks for listening.